Welcome to Metro Last Light. Now, a couple of months ago we played 2033, and even though I did enjoy the experience, I wasn't blown away with the game overall. However, today it's time to see how the sequel fares, as we play as the same human Artyom, with the same group of friends like Khan who just won't ever shut the hell up, and we kill monsters new and old all under the same banner of saving the Metro. So will Last Light be a worthy continuation, or will I wish that I never saw the light? Well, let's get straight into it as we grind all 49 achievements that this game has to offer. Welcome to the achievement grind. The game begins with a nightmare. We're guarding an outpost that is soon overrun by Dark Ones and nasty Nosalis. But it turns out that these aren't enemies at all, as when we kill them, we realise that they are our fellow guards. A Dark One touches us and Artyom wakes up in his room in D6 with Khan over his bed saying that he has spotted a Dark One. One made it through the explosions of the last game and survived. So we immediately leave our bed and head to Miller with Khan to see what we need to do about this surviving git. The first place we head is to get equipped with all of the guns and gas masks that we'll need to make it through the harsh and deadly metro tunnels and the outside sections as well. And here we actually already unlock our first achievement, as when we choose 3 weapons from the carousel, we pick 3 different weapons that take different types of ammo, and once done we unlock the achievement Veteran. Not a bad start if I don't mind saying so. Now, I am a metro badass, of course, so I don't really need to spend too much time in the shooting range, and 30 seconds later I have proved how amazing I am and extraordinarily humble, and the next achievement is also unlocked for us for completing our training, unlocking us Rabbit. 5 minutes in and 2 achievements on the board? I like this a lot. But time to push through to our talk with Miller. We walk further throughout D6 and then we're told about somebody called Lesnitsky. I'm so sorry about how I pronounce these names, but it is what it is. Now, he worked in the labs but apparently has fled D6 after stealing something, so I'm sure we'll find out more about that later. We make it to Miller and Khan then talks about the surviving Dark One. However, Miller doesn't share the same opinions that this is in fact a blessing and not a curse. Miller wants it dead. However, Khan wants us to talk to it using our gift that we have. And since Miller is in charge, he decides to send Artyom and Anna to snipe the last Dark One and take care of this pesky survivor. So with our orders, Artyom and Anna head to the surface to see if we can spot them. Now, we of course get our first taste of the horrid and vile metro tunnels. We eventually make it outside and Anna takes position on top of a building and gives me cover as we head down into the thick mess to spot this creature. We then get of course attacked by the usual watchmen, but with my fine shooting and Anna's somewhat decent backup, we school them no problem and head further into the rocks. As we do, Anna spots it, and it's quite bizarrely small. Its size does apparently give it speed. However, I don't want to kill it, so I just let it run. Khan's words that were playing in my head that we need to save it, so I just follow the little creature until we were eventually able to grab it. When we grab it though, it uses its mind tricks to send us on a visionary ride, back to the ending of the first game when the bombs hit. However, this wasn't for the best, as when we recover, we're both captured by the Nazi forces that were patrolling the nearby area. Nice one, you little bastard, you got us both nicked. However, we do also get our next achievement, Not a Rabbit, here for completing the level without taking a single hit, which actually quite surprised me that I got it casually. When we wake up again, we are in a Saw-like room with 2 men coming inside to interrogate us all. Some more violently than others, but don't worry, we have this delicious plot armor. So when Agent 47 comes closer to us, we and the other prisoner Pavel overpower the 2 guards and kill them both seconds before they were going to execute us. We slightly arm ourselves and decide that we probably need to break free from this rather questionable establishment. Down the slide we go. In the next section though, we find a massive prison with hundreds of people being taken prisoner, and we need to both be quiet and fast, as if we're caught they will flood the entire section with deadly gas that will kill everybody. So yeah, definitely need to take it slow and carefully. This is just basically a little tutorial section still. It tells you about sneaking and darkness being your friend as you knock enemies out and climb higher into the complex. You know, as you do. However, once we're out of that room, sneaking goes straight out of the window as bullets are introduced into the equation, and everybody dies rather spectacularly. We then go through another door. It's a rather interesting and shocking sight that we see next as an army are all chanting together, and we have to fight our way to the front to escape. Thankfully, the Nazis all ignore my ranger outfit, so we fight through. This is until Pavel has the genius idea that this section doesn't have enough fighting, so he just shoots in the middle of the crowd, and now we have to run to safety. Mint. We spring out of there and cut through a civilian section to make it to a rail car further through. We have a stitch though from the running, so Pavel carries us and plops us inside of the rail car. We set off and end the chapter, also unlocking our next achievement for making it through the last couple of rooms without taking damage, unlocking clean escape. We make it as far as we can, but eventually get to a dead end and wreck the rail car getting through it, so time to move on foot. This is when Pavel gets really excited over a pipe, and when I lift him into it, he falls straight through into a room with more Nazis inside. So now we need to save our new friend. The next couple of sections are something that we're used to in the Metro games. I can either go through in all sneakily knocking everybody out, or just shoot my way through all guns a-blazing. We decide that guns is probably the quickest way through to saving Pavel quickly, as he probably won't last long. This is confirmed as when we make it through a pipe ourselves, we find him and he's on his way to be executed. Don't forget though, my lovely audience, that I am simply assembled uniquely, and we soon carve our way through the enemies and find Pavel once again. We kill his two would-be killers and cut this struggling human down and get ready to move on again. Time to escape the outpost and head back into the tunnels to get to home, or at least somewhere that we won't be killed, hopefully. And unfortunately, this is where some old friends return as well, as to escape we must head through a spider-scorpion infested area to get there. Now, same as before, these angry looking rad scorpions are allergic to the light, or they really love the light, as if you shine it on them for long enough, they'll get all cute and silly and flip over for belly rubs. Now, me and Pavel pole swing our way to safety further in the metro, and here we also get our next achievement for burning 50 cobwebs with our lighter, unlocking Pyromaniac. Thankfully though, me and Pavel eventually make it once again to the surface, every step a step closer to safety. However, we need to keep fighting for just a little bit longer. Outside once again we face the usual opponents and villains, but they cause no real grief, so shooting our way through them is quite quick, even if there is a stampede of them as well. That is until we eventually make it to a plane with tons of corpses and visions on board. Madness gets the better of both of us though, as all of a sudden we get a vision of the plane going down and we're in the cockpit. It is quite tough to watch as our explosions crash this bed, and I'm not just talking about the jarring visual shite. However, once the vision's over, we awake on the plane again and Pavel is still mid-trip, so we help him with his mask so that he can continue to breathe the lovely oxygen that it provides, and we once again crack on. Thankfully though, we soon make it to another metro station and the fleet of armed guards save our life from the watchman, and me and Pavel arrive safe and sound. We stock up on ammo, help the homeless, and taking the rather, well, lovely sight. Anyway, we sit down for a drink with Pavel over a job well done. Now, honestly, I didn't like Pavel that much going through the last couple of sections. He's an idiot. However, he does get the better of us here, as he appears to have poisoned our drink and double-crossed us. Bastard. And as we're drugged up, guards come to take us away, as even though we saved his life, we're apparently on the wrong side of the war, and we're sent to the Red Line headquarters. Whilst we're taken to the interrogation room though, we meet a rather villain-looking human as we speak to General Corbett. But before we can have a civil and rather in-depth discussion about the predicament that we find ourselves in, we get knocked out and awake in a chair. Fat Hitler off Wish then comes to take charge of the interrogation. He gives us a couple of rather unappreciated smacks to the skull, but thankfully for us, his son doesn't share the same sense of interrogation or hideous facial hair. So when Moskvin leaves the room, his son unties us and sends us through the vents and on our way to freedom once more, and also unlocking the next achievement for beginning the escape within a hair of death. Now it's time for another patent pending anti-human stealth section, as we have to make our way through rooms and rooms of goons, either killing them or just sneaking past. We choose violence. Now honestly, this part is quite tough, as if you alert them, the reinforcements that they bring in are quite beefy indeed. However, the only thing worth talking about in this entire section is the next achievement we unlock for killing 100 human enemies in the game for Soldier. When we escape the rooms, we're found by somebody who knows us, thankfully, as the blacksmith from the last game helps us out. He's going to get a message to Miller for us, so all we need to focus on is getting back home in one piece. To do so, he gives us his pride and joy, and she's even got a name. This is Regina, and without so much as a thank you, we start her up and speed her out of the gate. And thankfully the lights on this are packing a punch, as we have to get our way through some more spider infested areas. Now here we also have a few more achievements to unlock. The first is rather simple, and it's for using 10 lever switches, unlocking Engineer. And then when we make our 10th spider flip up to expose his belly for tickling, we also unlock the achievement Tortoise. Now eventually though, the spiders turn into Watchmen, and we carry on fighting through the hordes that the game throws at us. And since we're still on the surface, we're using oxygen masks and filters. This is important as we unlock our next achievement here as well for using 30 minutes worth of filters, unlocking air. And that makes sense to me, because tell me, how am I supposed to breathe with no air? Can't live, can't breathe with no air. Now, unfortunately, the need for speed gets the better of us, and we absolutely trash our ride by plummeting it through several walls, and we wake up after the crash keen to crack back on. However, somehow the car still works. Regina seems to be a feisty bitch. So we take it and break through one final barricade. When we do, we're greeted to a small group of survivors. They nearly shoot me, as they rightly should, but our uniform proves that we are allies and not the many enemies that we've met so far. Now, they talk a bit about the predicament and also that there's a bunch of people that still need saving, and I think we're the perfect person for the job. So we sneak our way through the rest of the outpost, This time we kill all enemies and save those that desperately need it until all have been rescued. We then carry on our journey as we still need to beat Pavel to the last Dark One. We eventually make it to a dead end, however we can summon help from a local fisherman by ringing a bell. Only problem is that when we ring said bell, of course a horde of Nautilus come to ruin the day. It's a close call for sure, but after a couple of minutes of fighting we manage to jump on board to safety. Well, when I say safety, not really, as when we ride the boat back we're greeted to a new type of enemy, the shrimp. Horrible mutated fish spawn thingies. They're fine with us at first, but eventually they decide that they're a bit peckish and come to get some snacks. Us. Now their outer shell is as tough as it gets, but their ripe underbellies allow us to quickly cook them into scampi. And thanks to some last minute water bombs we arrive in Venice ready to carry on our dire mission. Now Venice is a lovely small town filled with games, lovely trailers and lovely yeah, anyway. Also, I actually do need to take a moment here just to say that my chat are trolls and awful humans, as we got quite a couple of lap dances from this lady because chat told me that there was an achievement tied to it. In fact, every lap dance that we got absolutely ruined our moral points. So now thanks to them, I have no chance to beat this game with a good ending, and there wasn't even an achievement for it. Bastards. You know who you are. Is there actually an achievement for this, you shits? There's titties. There is, Jazz, but I'm trying to censor them. Apparently, I was told there was an achievement here, but I think chat might have been lying to me. So, there's boober. We're done here. Chat have had me on. Chat have absolutely had me on. Oh, I so believed you as well. Now, enough of the merriment. It's time to murder people again, as we make it through the complex into enemy territory, and here we also get our next achievement, as when we kill 10 enemies in a row with throwing knives, we unlock no shooting allowed. This is honestly easier than you might think, as knives in this game are pretty much insta-kills on most human enemies. It's great. But we eventually find Pavel, who is waiting for us. Thanks to a distraction, he looks away and we hold a blade up against his betraying throat. He then tells us where the Dark One is, but another distraction causes him to get the better hand and run off. Now to get back, we eventually have to travel to the surface once again. Here we fight through swamp infested waters with shrimps and demons around every corner, ready to turn me into the finest Russian guacamole that you've ever seen. However, we don't let that beat us and we plod on. And we just keep on pushing into the night until we reach a church where we see our friends. However, this is where King Shrimp decides to make his appearance. Now this fight with it was lovely, but during this fight we also get our next achievement when some watchmen show up and spoil the party. And when we kill them, we unlock the achievement for killing 100 mutants in the game, unlocking antibiotic. After that, we continue to throw everything we have at this lovely sea creature, and eventually we have some lovely calamari at the ready. So now that it's safe, we cross into the church and meet up with our chums. And it turns out that one of the friends here is Anna. Now that I'm here, the plan is to gear up and head into the catacombs under the church. However, a group of red soldiers and Lesnitsky break through the door and take Anna hostage as they head down into the depths of the church. So we head after them to rescue Anna. Now this place is filled with Nautilus that are just really easy to take down. And honestly, like, I can't imagine any of these kind of mutants would really be a challenge to take out. Oh. This is the Rhino, or also known as Big Mama. This is basically the leader of the pack, and since I've been killing her mutant children, she's come to put a stop to me. Now she does indeed pack a punch and is a total bullet sponge because of all of her armor. However, like anything that dares stand in our way, we eventually get the better of her and put her into the floor, unlocking as the next achievement, Big Mama. Our fight, however, has destroyed the tunnels we're in, and when it floods, we go straight down this cave system's plug hole until we thankfully get spat out the other side, where we lose consciousness again. When we awake and carry on again for maybe like the 5th time, we find Anna and the station that she's in, with it also currently being completely pulled apart and destroyed by the red line. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but it's time for our next achievement, as when we silently kill our 15th enemy, we unlock Shadow. Now the last words of one of the people that we save say that the red forces are here because of an infection that broke out, but they were here before the infection broke out, and it's the red forces that released this absolutely deadly plague. So time to carry on shooting our way through to the other side in hope of saving Anna. We do just that and expertly destroy the red forces until we reach her, being held hostage by Lesnitsky. But before we can bark too many orders at us though, we shoot him directly in the head and he throws Anna at us and escapes, breaking our mask, and with both of us running out of air, we quickly run to the metro gate to hopefully make it alive, and even more hopefully without the infection. In the quarantine zone, the first thing that we do is smash pasties with Anna, who then decides to thank us for saving her. And after we've given her a right good seeing to, we are awoken with a man shining a delight in our faces. He, however, is here to say that we are both thankfully not infected, and I'm able to make it through the complex whilst Anna stays to get her wounds treated. We say goodbye to our new love and move on. Moving through the quarantine zone, people are dying and fast. It seems to be a rather unpleasant experience if I'm honest, so thank God we're fine. But making it through, we find another old friend, Sir talks a lot himself, Khan. He says that we need to go find the Dark One and carry on our quest, so we head through the exit of this station and go about our journey. We then go through the typical Metro experience. We shoot our enemies, we have random visions, and take in the nasty surroundings. Nothing groundbreaking here, but the visions do tell us that we're getting close to the Dark One, as he is on a train being held captive. So we hop on a rail car and cinematically shoot our way closer to the train, eventually finding it and hopping on board. We make our way to the front and indeed find the creature behind a cell, but like the vision, the train is thrown off the track and the Dark One goes to escape. However, he stops and we hold hands for a bit, and we get another vision of us as a child, being saved by a Dark One who then starts communicating with us. We take his tired little self to the surface, and just like that we're now besties. But this Dark One will now follow us along in our journey as we make it through to Polis to hopefully stop the Red Army's plan, whatever it is. We fight our way through several sections as per usual, including mutant, shrimp and humans alike. Also, sorry for the jump scare of my beard disappearing, bloody subathon did me dirty. Anyway, at the end of fighting the humans, we eventually find the team that blew up the last station and Lisnitsky himself. He goes to stab us, but the Dark One hops on board in order to learn the Red's plan. Now, Lisnitsky of course did steal the infection that was tested in the last station, also finding out that Pavel is close to somewhere called the Red Square, so we need to take him out too. And by finding this information, we also unlock our next achievement, Secret. However, we're the hero of the story, so we don't kill him and let the elements get to him instead. We and the Dark One continue travelling together through more perilous landscapes, haunting visions and quite nasty winds, until we find our way to the Red Square. Unfortunately, there is an ambush however, and Pavel wastes no time in sending forces to attack us. However, by now you'd think that he'd learnt his lesson, that I am an unkillable machine and no matter how many goons he shows us, we will bury them. And bury them we do, until there is only Pavel left, and he tries running once more. We instead though riddle him with bullets and catch up to him eventually, having collapsed in the building. The Dark One comes back to reveal his plan as well as sending us on a group trip together. We see in the visions that the test went perfectly, that the infection is both incredibly contagious and lethal, and that they're going to use it to flood the metro and basically take control of all of it. Only problem is that D6 is standing in their way. So their plan is to attack and take control whilst most people in the D6 area are at a conference in Polis distracted. When we all wake up, we then save Pavel's life for now. Trust me, we'll come back to him later, but we continue our journey with the Dark One to warn and protect the others. And here we also find our new enemy and boss fight, as when we cross a threshold, a mutated bear appears out of nowhere to protect its cubs. Now I'm not gonna lie, this thing hits hard, like it is an absolute unit, but thanks to some local hungry mutants, we have a small team to take this fecker down. Now eventually we get the better of it and it runs off to protect its young, near death. We find it laying down tired and beaten and a group of watchmen jump on top to finish the kill. Now this bear was only protecting its young, so we shoot the watchman in the head and free this bear from guaranteed death, who kindly then thanks us with an achievement for saving him, unlocking Forest Guardian. But after that fight, we and the Dark One find Miller and Khan again and introduce them both to the final surviving Dark One. Miller doesn't like its existence at all but lets us through for now. Using the Dark One's powers with Khan, we then find out that this little child isn't actually the last remaining Dark One, as in D6 there are a bunch of trapped ones waiting to be released. So for now, we, Miller, Khan and the small one head to Polis to try to reveal the plan and defend Polis. We enter it and find Moskvin giving a speech to everybody. We of course interrupt him and call him out. The Dark One then hops on board again and gets him to reveal his secrets. It turns out that he is indeed a piece of smeg that killed his own brother, but with that he awakes to realise that everything that we just saw he just said aloud for everybody to hear, and now everyone knows his plan. He admits it all and says that Corbett is about to storm D6 as we speak, as planned, and getting Moskvin to reveal his plans unlocks us another achievement, Revelation. Everyone then bears arms and races back to D6 in order to save it in the final battle. Miller gives a rather inspiring speech and we get to work. However, Corbett makes quite the entrance as he crashes a train through the doors and his Red Line army charge through. We hold them off, but it is tough, so we need to bring out the big guns, and I mean big guns. So we start mowing his men down unapologetically until there is hee-haw left. However, they knew that this would happen and stormed the front with another entire train. When we wake up, we're overrun and overtaken. However, when Corbett gets too cocky and starts monologuing, we blow fuses that absolutely destroyed D6, unlocking us the achievement Survivor 2034 for finishing the game on Survivor difficulty, and C'est la vie for destroying D6. The final shot has Artyom's life flashing before his eyes as D6 does indeed implode and take every single person out that is somewhat close to it. And that's Metro Last Light. However, that's the bad ending that isn't canon, so we must go through it all over again to eventually get the good ending on another difficulty. For now though, it's time to do the same that we did in Metro 2033 and to get every single missable achievement and collectible related one as well throughout the story. Now, just like last time again folks, I'm going to be going through these quite rapidly as I don't need to repeat myself again about any of the story. So, deep breath and let's go through them. First we went back to the mission Bandits where we had to save the women and children. However, this time we did it all without raising an alarm and unlocked Commando. Next, at the start of the game with the prisoners, this time we actually free them, as last time I couldn't find the most obvious switch ever, but by releasing everybody we unlock freedom. Next we turned off 40 lights without breaking them, unlocking us Edison, and also killed all armed enemies on the level Revolution, including all of the backup bots. And by committing station genocide, we unlocked Derailed. Now the next 3 achievements were for completing more missions without raising any alarm or killing any enemies. The first mission we completed like this was Separation, unlocking invisible intruders. After that we did the same with Facility, unlocking Invisible Savior, and finally we completed Revolution again and unlocked the achievement Invisible Soldier. Honestly, these were fairly tough as the enemies have eyes like a hawk, but still being able to knock people out helped tons here. So after that we unlocked our 10th safe in the game, and by stealing all of the shiny lovely contents we unlocked Master Thief, and then deciding a break was necessary. The next we got was for sitting down and watching the entire full theatre show from earlier. Now honestly the show is shockingly bad, however who cares because afterwards we unlock Patron of the Arts. Now back in Venice we have to score perfectly on this shooting minigame, and when we complete the final level we're rewarded with a bear. But overhearing a child has just recently lost theirs, we decide to return it back to him, unlocking us Reunion. Next on the list was for completing the level Echoes without getting detected by any watchman, and by doing this we unlocked Mouse. After that we completed the level Bridge without killing anything, unlocking the next achievement Rain Man, and after that we had to survive the watchman attack on the rail car without taking a single hit of damage. Again, easier than it sounds with the right guns, and by completing it we unlock Scram. Now we're nearly done with these thankfully folks, as next we have to disarm 10 traps. I just reloaded the swamp section that has one very close by and recycled that until we unlocked Ever Vigilant. Now during the mission with Anna as a hostage, instead of shooting what's his face in the face, we have to follow his orders, and when he tells us to remove our mask we do just that and get Saviour. Now it's time for some revenge we think, as instead of saving Pavel, this time we're going to kill him. Well, we're not going to be killing him, as earlier when we saved him during the visions that we shared, this time we let the hands just take him down and unlock revenge for them killing him, with some additional revenge to make sure he's properly down of our own. The next step was to simply drink at every occasion, and as the same in Metro 2033, I only had missed one spot, so we headed on down there, got our drink on and unlocked Cheers. After that we reloaded Dead City and found all 6 visions in the level, again fairly easy if you explore well, and by finding the last we unlocked Back to the Past. Now thankfully there's only one more left before we start the game again for the good ending, and it's just to collect all of Artyom's diary pages. We had done well throughout but were still missing a little bit of a chunk, and it did take us a couple of hours to go through the missions again and to find the last few. However, we made our way to the final one, picked it up and unlocked Published. Now the last step before we make our way to the DLC missions is to play the entire game again, this time on Spartan difficulty, and to get enough moral points to trigger the good ending. Now this once again is the easiest difficulty, so we sped through the missions getting as many moral points as we could get our hands on. Now I'm not really going to say anything here because the story is the exact same as what we've just done, so let's just cut straight to the end. We thankfully did indeed get enough moral points on this run, and instead of blowing D6 up, the Dark Ones come and save us from the invasion, and once of all of Corbett's red line enemies are destroyed, the Dark Ones are free and go walk back gracefully into the sun. And that is the canon good ending. But by finishing on this difficulty and getting said ending, we unlock Redemption and Spartan 2034. And with that, we only have some DLC left to go through before this game is ticked off the list. Now, the DLC for this game is a collection of short missions that have you play different scenarios. They're mostly only about maybe 20-30 minutes long, so I'm not going to get super detailed on what happens here. We're just going to go through the list dead quick and what I did to get this game done. The first DLC mission we complete is Heavy Squad, and it has us take control of somebody on the red line side side taking on D6. We're playing as the baddies, but by completing the mission we unlock the achievement Hail Reich, which I really hope my neighbours didn't hear me say or I'm going to be judged heavily. The next level was called Kshatriya, and no doubt I have absolutely butchered the pronunciation of that, so my apologies. However, for this mission we are sent back to Metro 2033, in the mission where we have to find the D6 log in the library. Now this mission plays as a roguelike, as you have to head to the surface and find special items to come back and sell to get upgrades to make it further through. Once we find the D6 journal though, we swipe it and bring it back to the base, finishing the mission and unlocking Kristaria. I'm sorry. We unlocked that. The next was Sniper Team, in which we are surprisingly a sniper, as we have to clear areas of the map so that we can get to the end. This was certainly one of the better missions in my opinion, as I just absolutely love sniping sections in games like this. However, we completed it and unlocked Saboteur. The mission after was a horde based map, as we go through levels and levels of simulations, fighting enemies and coming out victorious. This one again was a lot of fun, if not really tricky at some points, probably the hardest DLC in the list actually, but we completed it like all of those that came before and unlocked the achievement Test Complete. With that, we only have 5 more remaining. The next mission was another simple one, just to go through some spider infested areas and escape. This was the easiest for me, as you can just sprint through it all and ignore the enemies and get it done fast. When we did, we unlocked the achievement Through the Fire. The next level was the developer level. Nothing really to talk about here, as it's just a museum of all of the assets used on the game, and some shooting ranges and whatnot. It is actually a ton of fun to see the behind the scenes stuff of it all and to mess around, and when we spent an hour there we unlocked developer. Also, don't question the knife lady dancing, it's a long story. The level after that one has us take control of Pavel, as we have to break free and escape a station. This one is fairly basic and was one of the only ones that I didn't really get its inclusion, but nonetheless we finished it and unlocked Heads Up. After that we take control of Anna as she helps Artyom snipe the Dark One at the beginning of the game. Again, really fun sniper mission, but it was quite a quick one as well. When we completed it, we unlocked the Sunset of Hope. And finally we're on the last mission, in which we play as Khan, as he journeys from one station to another. Now there are a couple of twists in this one that were really unexpected to be honest, but we finished the final mission and unlocked the last achievement, No Way Out. And with that, Last Light is officially done and ticked off the list. And with that we only have one more Metro game left, that I hopefully will be covering soon. As I've heard, it's the hardest one of the bunch. But for now folks, with Metro Last Light completed, the grind is over. Now honestly, I really enjoyed this game. I thought the pacing was much better than the first and the story was also much better, with the game taking place in more above ground locations instead of it just mostly being in the same looking Metro parts. It was a nice change of pace. However, as a sequel, that's all I can really say about it, other than it's more or less identical to the first. The graphics are the same, the enemies are the same with the exception of a couple of new additions, and I'll be honest, I wish they would have pushed the boat out a little further, as even though I did enjoy this one much more than 2033 without question, it still felt like they were holding something back. Hopefully though, with Exodus, that's what we'll find in the next game. But also, please don't think I'm being too harsh on this game, because as I said, I really enjoyed it a lot more than the first, and I was able to get much more immersed in this. I just wanted a little bit more separation from the first game, that's all. Also, credit where it's due, the DLC missions in this are an absolute blast, and almost the highlight of the game for me, as every single one mixes it up and tries something wacky, and I just loved them. So, with that though, let's go to the stats. For Metro Last Light, it took us 37.9 hours to gain all 49 achievements, even though I imagine there are a couple of extra hours in there where I'm dealing with the subathon stuff, so I don't think it would have normally taken me that long. For this game, I'm going to be giving it a 7 out of 10. It was great, but as I said, I needed a little bit more from it, as most of it is the exact same as 2033, which isn't necessarily bad, but in my eyes it doesn't do enough to make it a standalone sequel. The difficulty of the achievements though, I'm going to be giving the exact same as Metro 2033. I had the same problems, the same grinding methods, and got it done the exact same way, so I'm going to be giving this a 4 out of 10, with the hardest achievement being Redemption for saving D6, as gaining moral points can be really tricky and you won't know if you've done it until the very end of the game. However, with a moral guide, you'll be absolutely fine. And that's it folks, thank you all so much for watching, and remember to subscribe, as next week we're finishing off the most requested game of the channel yet. Last week we covered the base game of Prey, and all of the many achievements that it has, and next Sunday it'll be time to go through the insane Moon Crash DLC and get the last 10 achievements done. And folks, trust me, I have a lot to say about this DLC, but spoilers, you'll have to see next Sunday. Also, whilst you're at it, don't forget to swing by my Twitch as well, where we do the achievements grind live 4 times a week, playing all of your favourite games, and it would be lovely for you to join us, so swing by, please and thank you. And I also need to say a massive thanks to my incredible patrons. You are all absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the additional support. I really appreciate it, and it really helps to make sure that I can keep doing this benefits in the long run, so many thanks. But with that folks, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all soon. Have a great week. Take care. Bye bye for now.